podcast about game development and the diverse people who make it. My name is Jasmine. I'm a 3D environment artist from Cologne, Germany.
And my name is Ash, and I'm a freelance 3D environment artist in North Carolina, USA.
And today's special guest is Sady Fofana. He is an environment artist at Valkyrie Entertainment and is working on a new God of War. And we're super excited to have him on here today. Thank you, Sady, for coming on.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for coming on. I feel like something that may have not been mentioned before is like when Jasmine and I were coming up with this podcast and trying to find people to come on, I messaged Sady months and months ago. And I was like, hey, do you think you want to come on ever? And then he was like, yeah. And then months and months pass. And I was really worried that, like, you know, messaging you out of the blue, that you would be like, oh man, you know, my schedule is full. I'm not really interested. But you were still really like chilling down to come on. So thanks a lot for that. We really appreciate it.
No. Yeah, no worries. Like, I'm one of those people that is like, if it's either like 2 days or like 2 months, like, I'm okay with that. Like,
I love that flexibility.
I'm kind of like always lost in like what I'm doing. So like,
Sure.
I kind of tend to get lost track of time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
we appreciate the go with the flow nature. That's really nice of you. So coming on into our first topic, kind of just get like a general feel for you as a person and a little bit of your history. I wanted to know about how you got into game art and kind of like your education history and stuff like that. And yeah, let's start there.
yeah, so like, I think at first, like when I started, at least like doing 3D in general, like I was going for like animation in high school, and it was just to be like, okay, I'll just do 3D and submit this in as work, and hopefully get a like easy A. But like later on, like it went from like you know, like being like, okay, this is just schoolwork, to then really tinkering around with like 3D modeling and stuff, and being like, yeah, like I think I actually like this, so like let me continue on this. But like at that point, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, so like I kind of went for like animation at first, and over the years, like during college and stuff, I kind of realized like animation wasn't my thing, and I wanted to do something different. And I realized I really liked modeling and making scenes and environments. So like I kind of decided to go into games for this, and I thought like being an environment artist would be a great fit for like you know, starting off on that path. Yeah.
That's like, I feel like in a sense, like we have similar backgrounds in that respect, because like I didn't think that I would go in the game art direction either. Like my degree says I'm a character animator. I can't animate a single thing. But like I thought that I wanted to go into animation to, I guess, like even like more like hand drawing animation and stuff like that. But I think I also kind of got like thrown into like modeling stuff, and then it kind of like clicked, I guess. And then here we are. But like it kind of makes me wonder, because I don't really, well, I guess maybe this is just me. I'm interested in hearing from a lot of people like how they got into doing the thing that they're doing, because like if you started in animation and you're more into game art now, like I wonder how many other people have been like, oh yeah, I was a fine arts person, or yeah, I was a biology student or whatever. Like I feel like there game art attracts a lot of people from a lot of different paths to like do the thing, and that's kind of why it's so fun sometimes to like meet different people with different perspectives and stuff. But yeah, like also I wanted to know a little bit about what your experience was post grad. So like you did you go to like a what's the word? Did you go to like a 4-year university or did you go to like a 3-year sort of like certificate sort of deal? Does that make sense? It's a question. Um
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think I started off in a 4 year, but like, unfortunately, only did one semester, and I was like,
Mm,
there was some stuff with like, uh, either between like funding and me not really vibing with like animation. Those were the two
mm,
factors where I was like, okay, I think I might take a break from school and
mm,
hopefully study this stuff on my own. And it kind of got to
mm,
a point where like I was kind of self-teaching myself, you
mm,
know,
mm,
and there are things that are social stuff that I learned in like university where like I'm forever grateful for, but I was like, yeah, I think at home stuff will be good for me for
mm.
now. In the field, I want to, you know. Plus, I don't want the loans, all those
oh,
loans.
don't remind me.
Yeah, that's
Don't remind me.
yeah. But that's a big
Um
mood that you actually realize that you would be better off studying by yourself because yeah, that's what I also realized after 1 year at uni. Like as you said, it's great for socializing, coming out of your shell, having your first contacts with people who have like similar interests to you, at least in a similar direction. Because like I said, in high school it's very broad what everyone's into, but at least at uni it gets a bit narrowed down. But for the actual learning part, sometimes it can be tough if it's not the exact field you want to do. Like
mm,
animation is so different to environment art, so you couldn't really probably get
right.
much out of that to apply it to environment art, I guess.
Exactly, and it's like a weird like experimentation where it's like you got to really see
Mm,
like okay, like do I you got to evaluate like okay, how what do I want to do
Mm,
with the art that like I'm doing, and how do I know like for the most part it's not just solely about monetization, but it's more like how can turn this art into a career path
yeah.
in a
mm,
way, and like what field do I want to go to? And I don't know, like for me like it's been like a mix of trial and errors in some ways where I was like, oh, okay, like I learned from some mistakes, but I didn't learn from others. Let's see how can I improve upon that and stuff.
mm,
You know?
mm. Like what I've been thinking about a lot lately is like there's the concept of um not knowing what you don't know, and when you know what you don't know then you can like make the decision to like get yourself on the path to knowing those things. And it kind of sounds like your experience was like I'm in school for a second and I know that the things I don't know, which are the things that I want to do, is more like modeling and game art stuff. So
Mhm.
like stopping school and like like doing the self-taught route. Like how did you figure that out? Because my experience was a lot different, right? Where I didn't even know that this was going to happen. But I feel like kind of like what can help people is like figuring it out sooner, if that makes sense. So
Hmm.
was it just that you had like a goal in mind after like going through school for a little bit and then something kind of like clicked where it's like, oh man, I actually realize now that the things that I want to do are more like video game related? Like how does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, yeah, like I guess like for me like I didn't knew like right then and there that like I wanted to go into games at that
Mm,
point. Like all I knew was like eh, that I liked 3D modeling,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really feeling like comfortable in school, and it took me a while to kind of understand where it's like okay, like bit by bit like I'm researching and studying like these types of like job types, and I guess like for me like after high school, not high school, after college, I was pretty much just like working in warehouses and stuff, and after work doing this stuff in my free time, and it got to a point where I was just like dabbling with stuff where I was like, okay, let me see how Unreal Engine works, or
Mm.
how this other program works compared to just doing Blender and stuff. And
Mhm.
I guess it was more baby steps, and in my side of things, where it it was more like trial and error, but
Mm.
those errors weren't like setbacks in a
Mhm.
way.
Oh.
To be yeah, to be honest, errors aren't I mean, errors are setbacks, but not like big setbacks,
No.
because you
Mhm.
can always learn from those
Yeah.
experiences and build on upon that. And I think for me, it got to a point where I was like, yeah, let me see how games go, and uh, see what scene I can make. And even if it doesn't look as good, hopefully I could use the stuff that I learned from that so-called failed scene, and
Yeah.
work on something new, and continue to work on it. And I don't know, it took me a lot longer to realize, okay, I wanted to get into games when I left college. And yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was wondering how long was that phase from when you left college and then like now, for example, that you got your
Oh,
job? Like how many years was in between? I think that might be interesting to know for people.
oh yeah, I guess it was 3 years
Oh
at
wow.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it seems a little long, but
No, it's actually
No,
very
yeah.
short.
absolutely
That's
not.
why.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. I feel like that's maybe on the shorter, if not average side,
Yeah.
honestly. I
Yeah.
think yeah, but sorry, continue and then I'll say what I was
Oh,
thinking.
oh no, yeah, I don't know, for me, it kind of felt long, in a way where
Mm,
I think I continued to stay in San Francisco, and worked a couple odd jobs.
Hmm.
I know I did a mix of working at music venues and bike rentals, and I wasn't really feeling that. At least with the music venue side, I was like, okay, I love this job, I love the people
Yeah.
here, but I don't want to do this like
mm,
for a very long time. So there are some moments where I was talking to my sister up in Washington, and I was like, hey, how is it there? Are there any good jobs to see here? She was
mm,
like, yeah. And maybe a few months later, I kind of decided to move up here. And
mhm,
I feel like that was one of the better decisions in my life, because one of the jobs that I previously worked at was a wood staining company,
Hmm.
and it was this small, tight knit warehouse, and the people in the warehouse knew that I wanted to go into video games for the
Oh.
most part.
mm,
And I would kind of be like, oh, talk about the stuff that I make and all that.
Hmm.
And there'd be times where there was yeah, they're on board 100% on that stuff.
Oh.
And I don't know. It was weird, because before then, all the other jobs I did, it it wasn't that way, where people are like, "Oh shit, that's cool." It was just 9 to 5, work, get your dough, and then
Mm.
head out the door. But that warehouse was like, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." And my previous boss, Steve, was like, "Yeah, go, if you feel like this is what you want to do, then go for it." And I don't
mm,
know, it was a weird teaching moment, where
Mm.
before then I was just focused on what I gotta do, focused on okay, I gotta pay the rent. Maybe if I have time, do some 3D, but for most part, just focus on work, go home, sleep, and then
Yeah.
wash and repeat. But now, being here, I was yeah, I kind of learned to socialize a little bit more, and stop isolating myself in a weird way, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
mhm,
But yeah, I think those skills kind of helped me develop myself as an artist too, where it's okay, now how now I'm starting to learn how to interact with people a little bit more.
Mm.
And luckily, Valkyrie was nice enough to accept me into their company. And yeah, and talking to the amazing people there, I was like, damn, I never met any artists, any other 3D artists face to face, until that
Mm,
point. But yeah, like it was like weird because at the same time my mom was like supportive, but at the same time hesitant
of
Hmm.
course.
about the skill. I mean, or like
Mm,
this career path,
Yeah.
and yeah, uh, I kind of felt like I had to continue at this so like I don't let her down in a way where
mm.
like okay, like I left college and
Hmm.
you know, yeah, this is what I have to get better at, or else like what then? I don't want to work in a warehouse,
Yeah.
you know. And it's yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah,
No,
No, that's
completely
really
makes sense. Um, there's a couple things I relate to you with that as well. But um,
same.
before I forget my thought, what I was gonna say about the like you taking 3 years to kind of do the thing, I think that's um really normal, and I really want to stress that also for people who are like listening to this or finding this or whatever, is that I think because of like there's just like a lot of factors, and I think most of them have to do with social media, unfortunately. Or like even on ArtStation, you can get on ArtStation and it's
Yeah.
like people are constantly uploading things, or someone with like I don't know, like a bajillion years of experience could just like bust out some like environment art in like 2 months or like 30 days or something, and it'd be super
Yeah.
like impressive. And then people who are trying to learn, you know um can be really hard on themselves. I know I've been really hard on myself before, like being upset that like work that I make isn't to the quality of some senior environment artist person who's been in the
exactly.
industry before when I
Yeah.
was graduating high school. Like unbelievable like expectations. And I feel like uh what's actually more true is that it just kind of takes like a lot of patience. Like art just does
Yeah.
be and like the trial and error sort of thing. And like you brought up a really good point about not seeing like making errors as like true setbacks. Like that's really really positive. And something that I hope to remember myself whenever things look like they're going wrong, or like the sculpt is just ugly or whatever, because like sometimes your art does have an ugly phase, often it will,
Yeah.
and you have to just kind of keep going with it.
Another thing
um,
I really liked also you brought up was that you said how isolated you were before, and then when you got into an environment that kind of embraced you and nurtured your you being a 3D artist and meeting people in person. That's
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
something I relate to. I think we talked about this before with Ash that like I'm also super introverted. Like I just like to be in my cave and just do my thing and come out occasionally. But as soon as I had like one experience where I met other people who are working somewhere, I did my internship and met people. I started to see, oh wow, I can actually interact with people and talk about my art and be a bit more forthcoming, and that really helps you as an artist too because before that you have like this whole door closed with the community that there's out there that you could share your art with, talk about it, get some confidence in yourself. And that's super important, and that's something that can happen I think very quickly if you're by yourself and trying to study and
Mm,
get better and have also that pressure that you need to get better quickly. But nowadays it's so nice because you can go online and not be alone in that whole process of
oh,
getting better. Like you don't have to just put all that burden on yourself. There's other people who can help you like lighten that burden a bit at least. So that's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, and like that was the thing that caught me off guard with like the communities out here because like
mm,
I like before then I was like in no Discord communities, and like I was pretty much just like going on YouTube just learning by myself. But the moment like I kind of started hopping into a few groups and just talking to people and like getting their feedback like in a way like it was kind of it was nice like at least like talking to people, getting their feedback and seeing other people's work and like giving feedback and stuff like that too. And yeah, like I feel like the communities like in a good way, like whether or not like like I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it. Like it's pretty nice that like it is like there are communities like this, especially during what's going on
Oh
with the
yeah.
pandemic and
Right, for sure.
everything. So like yeah, and man, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah.
I think that makes sense for to me. Like, I think that if not for certain Discord groups or whatever, my time in the pandemic would have been a lot more miserable. 100%. Because with Discord, we can connect to other people who do similar things as us. We can like make friends. And then on the flip side, we can also like, even though, there is that like sort of social media like pressure to always respond to people immediately or whatever, we can choose to just not respond to people. And since it's the internet, like a little, like I think people are maybe some people are slowly getting around to the idea that like when it comes to internet interactions, you just shouldn't expect someone to get back to you immediately, which is
Yeah.
great because sometimes even I, extrovert extraordinaire, do not want to respond to that DM immediately. I want to wait 4 hours
Yeah.
before I
Or 5
respond,
days.
or 5 days, or completely forget it. No. And so like I think that it really just goes to show, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, something that is becoming a consistent sort of like human theme as we talk to people has been community. Like,
Yeah.
no matter, where on the social like spectrum you find yourself falling on, like I feel like we've learned, or I'm learning, that people need other people in some way or another, like whether it's just like you're super introverted and you're cool with just your partner or whatever, that's fine. Or if you're like super extroverted and you need to like have a bunch of people to like hop in a call with you or whatever right now, like people really need people. And I think it's
Yeah.
thanks to people that artists are getting, better and better at the things that they do, and people feel more encouraged and they feel less alone and stuff like that. So it's all good. It's all good, warm, fuzzy feelings. I love community.
Exactly. And for me, like I'm still like getting trying to get used to like social media, like
Hmm.
in like the
or
at least like the posting your work side of things, because like there are
mm,
times where like I don't post for weeks, but like I just post once. I'm like, okay, see it, but don't see it, please. Like I'm like, oh, like I don't want, like I'm just like, okay, I just want to post it and then dip out and then like
yeah.
ignore it for the rest of the day. Like
Same.
yeah, and like I'm still pretty shy. Like when I see like a huge like call of like Discord people
Mm.
in, and I'm like, oh man, like I think I'm
Uh-oh.
good for now. I'm gonna play some like
Uh-oh.
Call of Duty or something,
Uh-oh.
like
Same. Oh, and it's so
yeah,
hard to bring yourself to put yourself in those situations, I think. But then it's like when you do it, people are usually really chill about it. And I feel like
yeah,
I'm always in my head so much, and then I'm in, and everyone's like, "Oh, thanks for joining." It's like, "Oh God, what's I
Man,
do?"
as a person who is in a server where there is often a call with a bunch of people in it because I'm in there, if you ever see me in a voice chat, please come into the voice chat.
oh for sure, yeah,
Like seriously, because like people are like, at least the people that I've hung out with, they've really given me some like really great perspectives on life. I feel like I've grown as a person, and like even if it's just to lurk, I totally encourage lurking, because sometimes people don't want to talk, they just want to have like podcast version of people just talking about whatever nonsense. And so they'll
yeah,
like
I'm
mute
definitely like
themselves but not deafen themselves so they can hear what kind of nonsense
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the chat at the moment. But totally, like I think it can be kind of scary to kind of step out of your shell, but I don't know. So far people are nice, and if they're not nice, then I'll just, address it because I have power to do that. So um,
it's
not to
kind of like
threaten anyone, but to threaten mean people. No.
Oh no, it's like it's kind of like walking into like another classroom for the first time where it's like, oh
Oh
shit,
yeah.
like I seen these like people before, but I don't like what should I
No,
say? Like I know the people in
no,
my
Yes.
classroom.
absolutely not. I mean, like I know in the club, which is where I hang out all the time. Whenever new people join, like basically everyone is like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like we've made it a point for people to like greet each other and stuff. So, um, if you ever see me around, you should like you are already invited. You are
Oh hell
already
yeah.
in the voice chat with me in spirit. You just have to pop in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah. Plus,
hopefully
like I
like
feel like. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, sorry, here you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I feel like, at least amongst other environment artists or whatever that I know, like people have seen your work, and I'm sure they would love to like get to know you as a person. Like you
No.
have more to offer than just your work, you
Yeah.
know. Like you can show them like how cool you are. You can show
All
them all your
those
funny little reacts and emojis that you have. You can send them.
oh
You can whip
I
those
can't
out.
wait to spam them with like CRT images that I found off the
Oh
internet
no.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to the next topic, I just wanted to ask you if you can tell us a bit about your art. I know that's like very a broad question, but I really enjoy all the sci-fi art you do and how much detail you have in the things. It's insane. Like I
Yeah.
just enjoy looking at it. It's true eye candy to me.
Oh,
So I wanted to know like what initially always inspires you to do these projects. Is there like something from your childhood maybe that always like excited you, or is it just something that you developed over time? Yeah, I just wanted to know like your thought process, what goes through your mind when you start a new project, or what went into this project. We can even go into some specifics if you want, like I'd be down to hear.
oh yeah, like I guess for me like it was a weird mix of like childhood like movies that I enjoyed like I don't know why I was watching Blade Runner like at like 12 or 13, but I was like all those like sci-fi and fantasy type of movies like I always liked the aesthetic of like how grungy yet like crisp like all the lighting and scenery
Mm,
was. And I think with the CRTs, like I really really love like Fallout New Vegas, and like at least like with seeing like the CRTs for the first time, and like
mm-hmm,
I haven't played any like MMO type of or like RPG type of games until then. Like when I saw a CRT for the first time, I was like, damn, like subconsciously I was like, damn, I really like the way this looks, and
yeah.
like I kind of forgot about it and stuff, but like when I kind of started learning hard surfacing and like going through the motions of like just like bashing out some stuff, I kind of started like adding screens to it and seeing like what weird way like I could add like a screen to like whether or not like if it's like this weird cooker thing that like has like 15 unnecessary screens that like don't do nothing but look visually pleasing. Like I
Mm-hmm,
was like, okay, like I might keep this and stuff, and I think there are some moments where like I whipped out the art in order to like practice on what I'm working on. Like there's still stuff with hard surfacing I want to learn, and
mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like it was a weird mix of like watching YouTube videos and seeing like what the heck was a chamfer? Like
Oh.
I
Oh,
found out it was a fancy word for bevel. Like
Mm-hmm,
I was like, "Oh man, like it blew my mind." I was like, "Damn, okay." Like I think just learning like bits and pieces of that and adding it to my art like
mm-hmm,
has been like one of the factors that I felt that I've been able to learn from. And also, like, I tend to like stray away from sci-fi sometimes, once in a while, and I guess it's more of like I don't want to get like too comfortable, so like
mm,
I'll just work on like I don't know, like for me, like it's intimidating enough to do something that I don't know, but like to learn from that, and even like if that project didn't work out at the end,
mm-hmm.
like again, like you learn something from it, and
Yeah.
then hopefully you can use it in a next project and stuff. But yeah, like a lot of film, a lot of games. Like I think weirdly enough, I feel like I know Akira and like what is it called? Cowboy Bebop is
Oh
like the
yes, yeah.
same like yeah go-to for everyone where it's like yeah like this is a sci-fi like I like
Yeah,
sci-fi but like yeah in all honesty like those like spaghetti western type of sci-fi type of stuff like it's really dope and
Hmm.
I think recently like synchronous or
Hmm.
synchronic on Netflix it's like those type of like small or like broad type of sci-fi
Hmm.
stories it's like it's very inspiring and I'm like damn like this is pretty dope like I want to do this like and I yeah, I'm not good at storytelling or anything but like at least like when it comes to art in general like lighting or like modeling or
Hmm.
like shading and stuff like that like those in itself like tell like a nice little story
Yeah.
and
for sure.
could like yeah invoke like some sort of like emotion like to that piece and like I know like I use like a lot of like edge lighting to it so
Hmm.
like for me I'm like yeah like I love this edge lighting because it feels nice to me I don't know why sometimes I overdo it but like I'm like oh man like edge lighting and
It works.
reflective screens and stuff oh
Yeah.
man but
I mean,
yeah
like,
like
I feel like that's fine, completely fine. Like, art can be heightened reality. I think that that's
Yeah, for
completely fine.
sure.
So you being like, oh man, so if you're ever like, oh man, should I add one more light? You have my permission to add one more light. Put in
oh
the,
yeah no
put in one
Do
more light.
it. Well, I think it's interesting because you said that you're not good at storytelling, but looking at your props, you have like so many interesting little things incorporated in it. It makes me already figure out like a story, or makes me like intrigued and be like, oh, I wonder where this prop would be located and what the surroundings of it would look like. Only the small stickers that you have like all put on it, and
Mm,
that already is a lot of storytelling to me. I think you're underselling yourself a lot there. like. It's amazing. They all could be like from some sort of film or short film or game, and
absolutely.
that's why always when I see your work, I always thought it's like some fan art from an existing IP. But then looking through your stuff, it's like completely original, and I'm like, wow, this is insane. How do you concept? My next question was actually, how do you concept these? Like, do you just concept in 3D, or do you have like a huge mood board and then kind of mash them together and go as you they go? What's your process in that?
my like my mood board is a definite go-to for this
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff where like I'll be going through Pinterest like grabbing I like some like hard surface shapes that I like
Mm.
whether or not it's like CRTs or like old pieces of like weirdly shaped metal that I could just drop into PureRef and stuff and for like 3D wise like I so wish I could draw I'm telling you like
I feel
I
it.
really want a concept one day where I could just like do the 2D stuff, but like for now like I'm stuck with like blockouts and for the most part like I was bad at like not using blockouts and then like some of my older
Uh-uh.
stuff kind of looked weird, but like
Mm.
over the years like when I started doing that like it helped me a lot. I don't want to say a lot better. I know that's not a word, but like it but
The ultimate
yeah, like
method.
yeah, it was weirdly like one of those things where it's like just seeing the rough shapes and seeing like the idea like in a rough basic form
Mhm.
could look you could pretty much pick and choose like okay like this is one part that I don't like about it and then you could kind of just like tweak from there and
Mhm.
same thing with environments too where it's like you could kind of start to build that visual library when it comes to like doing like the rough draft version of like anything and yeah like for me like I really like stuff like Pinterest because like there are just enough weird people who do like have a bunch of CRT images that I could finally use and like it's a weird microcosm of like
Oh
references
yeah.
and
Mhm.
I think in was it Reddit? Like in Reddit recently, like I found there is a Reddit called Spicy Pillows, and it's basically like you know when phone batteries and stuff are like broken and then they start to inflate,
Oh
and
Oh
yeah.
like
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah.
yeah, and some people hit it with a hammer just to get it to inflate and stuff, and like that's why I use that as references for like some decals that I'm working on, and I'm like, damn, like this is a weird subreddit, but like I'm here for it. Like, oh
We
my
need
god, like
that.
and it was like spicy pillows, like what the heck? But it's like it's like those type of like weirdos that like make me happy to do like
Mm,
hard surfacing and art in general, and like yeah, I'm just saying like be weird with your art in a way where it's like don't worry too much of whether or not like the idea you have is not going to work out right, but
mhm.
Mm,
just just execute it. And if it doesn't look right, then you know
Yeah.
you can always like change it back, and you know uh I don't know, yeah, but
that
yeah,
totally makes sense.
references, yeah, like
No, it's
yeah, it's I don't know, but at least for me, like yeah, references and just like maybe concepting in 3D. Those are the
mhm,
main things. And also a lot of a lot of like feedback, you know, like
mhm.
it's always important to like receive feedback from other people, cuz like 9 times out of 10 you kind of get tunnel vision
Yeah.
when you're working on something, and what looks right to you could look off to like a few other people and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you need water.
No worries.
That's fine.
Keep hydrated.
But
It's
yeah,
always
yeah.
good to get some fresh eyes on your work for sure. And like you said, not staying in your head too much is a big thing, I guess, because just doing and trying out and failing is so much better than just thinking about it for like a week and being like, oh my God, should I do this?
Oh,
Should I not do this? It's like, just do it. And then if it's shit, it's okay. Just move on from it.
it's so
Like,
it's so weird because like it feels like the opposite, right? Because I think that maybe we're taught to like people in general are taught to kind of be careful with what
oh yeah.
they do,
Yeah.
you know, because like you everything is about time, or like even maybe even to a degree with like I don't know, something as simple as like cooking food, like you don't want to waste the food, so you should
Yeah.
think about what you're doing with it. But even with like cooking, like there's a reason why people, or maybe just me, say that cooking is no, it's baking is a science and cooking is like art, because you
Yeah.
have to like experiment and stuff, and
Yeah.
it feels so uncomfortable even for me. I'll say it, it feels really uncomfortable sometimes, you know, like being trying to be okay more with making mistakes
Yeah.
and letting something look like crap, because like I just spent 6 hours working on this thing and now I have to like do it over or whatever, throw it away, whatever. And it takes a lot of courage to kind of like, you know, just start doing things and kind of like
Yeah.
getting to like the whole like hashing it out process for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I
for sure,
guess
for
we
sure.
can. Well, we learn over time. I guess like I used to be terrible at that, and then now I'm just like, oh fuck this, I'm doing it. And I'm
I'm still working
like,
on it. I honestly am still working on it. Like that's something that I'm trying to work on with myself. It's not getting too caught up in my head with trying to make something
yeah,
like perfect,
yeah.
you know? Like sometimes it just has to fit with everything else. It's like, oh man, why stress out about this sconce lamp when no one is gonna look at it as close as I am? You know, like stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's like things like that where it's like sometimes like it's okay to like take a break, step away from it, you know, like because I don't know, like you always kind of feel like, okay, I really got to do like all these things now. I gotta make it perfect now. But
mm,
like
Yeah.
the more like as you have both right now, you have amazing artworks and stuff too, where it's like yeah, I already learned from the you know where it's like, okay, yeah, I know when to take your time with these stuff, and
mhm,
like
Mm.
with some of the newer people, like they always feel like they have to do it like all today, or
Mm.
like
Mm,
they kind of get like a little bit burnt out in a way where it's like, oh, if I haven't done like uh, all the texturing and modeling and concepting in one day, like then what? And you kind of get into this weird like burnt out mind state where it's like,
Yeah.
damn, like eh, what now? Like I feel discouraged and stuff, but like it's always good to like step back,
Yeah.
see what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and then like you kind of learn from it in a way. Like I know, like I always had that bad issue with that where like I think there are some nights where like I'll be going to sleep at like 1 and waking up feeling like shit, and I'll be like, oh damn, like I don't want to do this. Like I'm
Mm.
not up for it today. But like over the years, you kind of learn like, okay, like there's always tomorrow,
Yeah.
and
mm,
you can always revisit like something that you want to finish and stuff, like you know, and
for sure.
yeah,
Exactly. You just have to be patient and be patient with yourself too, I think. Like not, judging yourself over time that you're not being fast enough. And I think what maybe helps with that, and that's what probably why younger people or students have this mindset, is when you start working, you realize that nobody expects you to finish a prop in a day, or like nobody expects you to finish a whole level in a week or something, like you start getting like this more healthy mindset, like, okay, as long as you have like a good working environment that supports that, obviously, but you realize, okay, this is a team effort. You're not by yourself all the
Mm,
time figuring things out. You can get help. And I think it would be nice if this would be also carried out to younger people and students, that they don't expect that they have to know everything straight away and have to be the fastest person ever at like texturing, modeling, environment art,
yeah.
rigging, animation, everything. Like it gets overwhelming
exactly,
to
yeah,
think that. And that's why we all started having these thoughts in the first place, because you don't know, like you have no idea how things go work in out there after like you do your own projects. It's a very different thing to work by yourself than on a team. So you get
yeah,
a weird mindset over time.
and like the for the most part, like they always see the end result of the thing and realize like
Right.
it feels like it was completed like in a day or in a week or something like that,
Yeah.
but like that stuff, like the person who's working on that, like it they may have been spending months or even like years on that stuff, and like whether or not when it comes to like making a kit bash or like building up a library or anything like that, like that stuff takes time, and 9 times out of 10 you realize what you like want with your project when you run into like a roadblock, and
Yeah.
like I wish I was told that like in
Don't we
in
all?
college and stuff. Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah. Should be a whole course about it, to be honest. Like
And
technicalities are great, but the way you deal with your work and time, and keeping a healthy relationship with art is just as important, I think.
yeah, exactly.
for sure, I think something that I kind of remind myself sometimes is like I had a conversation with Dries a long time ago, like a couple months ago, and like I think we were talking about like progress in art and stuff like that, and we were talking about like how he got to like the level of stuff that he does and stuff like that, and like obviously he puts in a lot of time into what he does, but a lot of it for him is also being patient with himself and like giving himself like a chance to like learn, which is something that I am struggling with because like we all said, like there is a pressure to be good right now. Sometimes you have like stakes and stuff where like you don't want to let like your mom down or whatever, or like I didn't want to let my parents down or whatever. And so you feel like you have to be like good right now, but even if you have that feeling, it doesn't change the fact that you still have to like spend time with something, like just because I don't want to make my parents sad with me about what I've chosen to do, it doesn't make me learning game art go faster.
No.
I still have
Exactly.
to like sit there and like work at it over a long time
Yeah.
to have something kind of start to look like something. So hopefully that's something that I'm gonna try to continue to like remind myself of, is just being patient.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you also said something like sometimes you're just not feeling it and you just say, oh well, I can like work on stuff like I honestly feel like that's really okay, because sometimes there are days where you're just like, I just want to sit around and eat potato chips. That's fine, you know. And like it shouldn't be a lot of things in life look to me like it's about mileage rather than how fast you do things. So it's more
Yeah.
about like consistent like chipping away at something rather than like, I don't know, like doing it all at once or whatever. But
Yeah. I think that's why it's so unnecessary to, like, when there's always this main question, how long did this project take you? How many hours did you work on this? Like, it's helpful, maybe, but every person's so different that something can take, like, longer time for somebody else than the other person, especially when you're like a beginner. You can't like make,
mm,
put like an hour on it yet, really. Like, there shouldn't be a pressure to be like, okay, I need to be just as fast as this person because they finished their project in 2 months. That means I need to do
yeah,
it now too. Like, you
yeah, no,
can't put the same mold onto everyone. It doesn't work
for
that way.
sure.
It's
They kind of like always like set like deadlines. Like okay, like I'll make one project 1 month and then do the same thing. But like it, like that's not the way to go in some
yeah,
instances where it's like yeah, like it's they see like how long it takes and stuff like that. But like
Mm,
man, it's all about like yeah, patience. Like I
yeah.
know like it's been stressed out a lot, but like patience is one of those things where it's like uh, I'll say it, it's a virtue. Patience is a
uh-oh.
virtue. But
Well,
like
Not.
yeah.
yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh
But you
no.
can learn it. I think you can.
Yeah.
No, not
It's
again.
possible.
No, I only wish I had patience when I'm cooking too, because like
Oh.
I I either end up like burning my food or like undercooking it. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm
Oh
just hungry at that point, just like
Oh,
let
no.
me have my meal and stuff. But it's okay. Like one day for my cooking skills.
Yeah, you
Uh,
got so much patience in 3D. Like, you can
yeah,
give yourself some freedom in that regard.
you see like a smoke coming out my window and stuff. Where it's like, oh god,
no.
is his house on fire again? Oh no.
Bake gone wrong.
We have to save him.
I think this is a good part to have a little break, and yeah, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to All Inclusive. Before the break, we talked a little bit about just being patient with yourself when working on your art. We got into Sady's education history and a little bit of their artistic history. And I kind of wanted to talk about next, maybe like a little bit of another tangent on your personal work. I kind of wanted to know if there was a point in your personal work where you kind of saw like a bump in like quality, because I feel like with art sometimes there's like this plateau that kind of happens where you're making a bunch of stuff and like you get to a point where like you see the stuff that you may want to make stuff like on ArtStation or whatever, but your stuff isn't at that same level and there's like a bit of a gap. So I was wondering if you had any sort of experiences like that and what kind of helped you overcome those gaps.
See, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not sure when, but like, there are some moments where like I realize like maybe maybe between like the RV and like at least like the RV and the CRT stuff, where I realize okay, like I think this may have been a nice little like progression step. It's probably like a small step, but like I noticed where it's like, oh damn, like actually like this looks better than the previous ones that I did before, and I think there are some moments where like I was trying to figure out like, man, like was it the lighting that got better? Or, like you know, you can't really tell like what happened, but like I guess the other thing that helped out was like I started like reaching out for feedback more, like and like before then I'll reach out for feedback, but like maybe like once or twice like in a while or so, but like when I started like talking with other people and getting like their perspective on things and like applying that back onto my stuff, like and that's when I realized I was like, oh my god, and I don't like talking about my work where it's like, oh man, this got good. Hell yeah. Like, cause I still
Right,
feel
sure.
like, like, but yeah, like that's why I kind of realized like, okay, like, it kind of is a bit of a step up compared to the last one, and, I think the thing that I'm trying to remind myself is that like, each artwork doesn't have to be as best as the last one. Like, because like,
Ooh,
that, yeah, that's
controversial.
a, yeah, like that's a fast way of like getting myself stressed out
Hmm.
quickly. At least like for me, where I'm like, damn, uh like I noticed like with the food cart, like I was like, man, I gotta make this have like all the cool arms and the cool CRT stuff. But then like later on, I was like after I was done with it, I was like, maybe I don't need to make a bigger piece of clumped up technology that is bigger than a food cart. Like
Mm.
maybe I should focus on form and texturing with the next one. And that's when I did the what is it called? The aliens like Ridley Scott like screen
Mm,
thing that
Mm.
so like I kind of was like, okay, like maybe for this one, like I'll probably focus more on that and a little less on like the I don't want to say razzle dazzle, but like the razzle dazzle of the arms and stuff. But like, yeah, like I don't know, like that was the one rare moment where I was like, okay, like I finally saw like a improvement, and
Hmm.
hopefully, like this doesn't have to be like every project doesn't have to be like a major improvement, but like hopefully then I could use what I learned into like the next few projects I want to do one day, you know?
mm, for sure. Small steps are, I think, probably more important. Like the little bit of consistency and
Yeah.
stuff, and as long as you keep trying with stuff, that seems to be kind of like the better thing to do, and perhaps that's like the message for people who are trying to take their own personal work kind of to like that next like that next level or whatever, is just kind of like just keep working with it and asking for feedback from people who you trust and stuff like that seems to
Yeah.
be the way to go, which I vibe with. That's kind of what I do. I think, or I'm trying to do. Like, I have a couple of people who I trust will be like, hey, look at my thing. And, like, and that's how I've been able to grow. Um, but yeah, cool. Cool, cool.
I think it's also great that you said that it doesn't have to be as great as the last piece always, because I think
Yeah.
that's a big pressure we all have when you have like this one piece that you really liked, and people are also saying, "Oh, great, you leveled up a lot with this piece." Then it's like, "Oh shit, I got to do this again now, maybe," and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people want me to be better next time, or have to see a improvement. But that also creates so much pressure and stress that you might not even end up being able to like pull off anything. Like I've had that I just feel like I'm in a slump now, and I'm like, oh god, I don't want to touch anything because I'm scared I can't pull anything off
Oh,
now
yeah.
because people
yeah,
expect me to do stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't need that kind of pressure. Like I said, if you see improvement in your own work and own workflow, that's the, I think, more rewarding thing in the long run, because you feel more
exactly.
confident in what you are doing in your craft, and not that everyone else is telling you, oh, you leveled up a lot by this piece now. It's like in the end you
Mm,
got to feel happy with your own work that you produced, even though it's not the same scale or whatever.
Yeah, and I think what put this in perspective with me, like, was I think in my one semester that I did of college, like, there's an art teacher that I was talking to where like he was talking to a kid where like he he was great at drawing from a young age, and like he was able to draw
Mm.
like really nice like photoalized people and stuff, and
Mm.
like he was talking to the kid, and like the kid was like uh ask like, "Oh, how does it feel to be young, like very young, and being able to draw this good?" And the kid was kind of like, "Oh, like I don't know how I feel about this because like now people are gonna be expecting more from me in a way where it's like, oh, if he could do this as a kid, what's he gonna do as a
Mm.
teenager or
Yeah.
adult?" And like they're gonna have like these super high expectations about like, oh, like maybe he's gonna be able to draw photorealized stuff, but like once they see it, it's like maybe like it, his stuff was like still like pretty damn good, but like still in the style that he liked it at.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
like there it's like the outsider looking in seeing like, damn, like it's gonna be amazing, let's see, like but it it's with time, like sometimes we get to cap where it's like this is the greatest that's gonna be, like I could be greater, but like this is the greatest I feel like I'm gonna be, and like
Mm.
I like it at, yeah. And I'm not great at all, like I'm not saying I'm great, but like at least for every other artist, like just remember that like even though that like there like I don't know how to describe it, like even though that you feel discouraged about your work, like it's
Mm.
gonna reach that point of greatness one day,
Yeah.
whether or not like you're 6 or 60, like
Mm.
Yeah.
uh, it's gonna like one day you're gonna have a magnum opus that you're gonna be proud of. And uh, I don't know, like I feel like that's a goal in mind, like at least like with social media and stuff, like it's okay to like post your stuff, be proud of it, but don't let that be the guiding factor of like how you enjoy your art in a way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, I know
That's
there's this one weird project I'm working on, like the Kowloon stuff, where I haven't
Mm.
really talked about it much, but like I was like, okay, for some reason I want to make this project and mount it on the wall. Hopefully that's gonna be my magnum opus one day. But like, I'm still working on it. But like, man, like things take. I don't want to say again, things take time. But like,
No, like it's
also,
fine because 3D art is
yeah,
dumb and you have to do like a bajillion things in 5 billion different programs and then you spend
yeah.
8,000 hours on a blackout. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I personally feel like the the way I feel like I've made it is when I have a piece that I could truly be proud of. I feel like that should be the same everywhere else. Like I don't know, like I don't know. It's so hard to describe because like I never really thought about this before, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, like this is too heady. Like, what am I thinking of? But like, yeah, yeah, like if that makes sense, yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Absolutely makes sense. You make a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Just to
Yeah.
put you at it, you make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's good to like just think out loud and also have that internal conflict spoken out. It's
Mhm.
reassuring because we all have that. Like,
Mm,
it's hard to speak about art, I think, in general.
for sure. For sure.
Moving on to the next topic, we were both really keen to know what your experience has been so far working in an outsourcing studio. Um, like, is there something specific where you could also say that it's different, maybe to other places? I'm not sure if was this your first job when you started in the industry, or did you work at another studio before that?
Or even like
Oh
freelance
yeah,
experience or
like
Yeah.
anything.
yeah, like this was my first job, like in both freelancing
Mm-hmm.
and permanent work, and like
Mm-hmm.
the only other job I'm gonna compare it to is like the warehouse I worked in
Mm-hmm.
previously. Like
Mm,
those two are like contrastively different
Yeah.
yeah.
in like on the setup and like like how everything is all like set up in a way, like for the warehouse stuff, like everyone like had one goal in mind, is to like get out the orders of like
Mm-hmm.
treads, risers, wooden vents and all that, and make sure we got a certain number by the end of like the quarter,
Mhm.
because like
Mhm.
from there we get a bonus. And like it was always like, okay, like everyone knows what we got to do, let's do it. And like we can have fun at the same time, but like don't have it's gonna sound weird. Don't have too much fun, because like the
Mm.
more distracted you get, the more you veer from the goal in mind. But
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I feel like Valkyrie was the same way, where it's like, okay, like except for the fun part, the fun, like it's a lot better like in height compared to other one. But like
Sure.
yeah, like everyone knew their goal in mind. And like it wasn't a rush. Like they were nice enough to be like, okay, like we don't want to crunch you, and
Mhm.
like this is
Mhm.
the way we're gonna do things. And like it made me feel really comfortable to start working here, because like talking with all the amazing people at the company, and like learning new things, whether or not it's things that like I normally never went into, like for like in the God of War project, like I'm doing scenes like in nature where I'm like, oh my god, like I never touched in nature once, but like I'm
Mhm.
learning all these stuff from the leads. And like this is like blowing my mind. I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know. But like aside from that, like work wise, like the social aspect of Valkyrie, like it's pretty nice. When we was doing like the like going in office stuff, and it relatively stayed the same like when we started doing like work from home.
Mhm.
And yeah, like yeah, everyone like is always upbeat and always like ready to help and answer your questions. And yeah, like it, it feels like an extended family in a way, the same way I felt about the warehouse job. Like
Mhm.
they're my
Mm.
two sets of family, like
Oh.
away from family in a way. But like yeah, like it's been pretty good. Like at least like learning from other people instead of
Mhm.
just learning from YouTube. You know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
How was that transition for you? Do you think did you like get adjusted to that quickly? That instead of like doing everything by yourself, kind of, you had now people to reach out to, or was that very easy to like get into that?
Personally, I feel like at least like for me, like it took a minute for me, because like in general, like I'm a little bit of a slow start when it comes to like
Mhm.
learning something new. But like everyone was like down to help, and like actually like answer questions I had about the specific task in hand.
Mhm.
And yeah, like it was pretty awesome, because like before that, like I was like, yeah, like yeah, I'll just sit silently and figure this out myself. But like they stressed this out enough, like when I first started working there, where it's like, don't be afraid to ask questions, because like more than likely, like
Mm.
we'll be happy to help.
Yeah.
Like and I'm a person who's afraid of asking questions. Like I'm like in fear of like annoying people and stuff, where I'm like,
Same.
Mm.
oh yeah, like oh, I'll leave it to you. Like I'll figure it out on YouTube somewhere. But like people, like they were more than happy to help in that
Mhm.
stuff. And I think that was something new that like I also learned there, is
Mhm.
like never be afraid to ask questions, uh, even if it's like like a dumb question, because like in a way, like all questions are dumb questions, even like the ones that like I don't know, like I think someone told me that, like so just to make me feel better in a way, where it's like
Mhm.
it's okay, all questions are dumb questions, but like that's why they are questions,
Yeah.
to be learned from. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a lot healthier to go about it, I think, than being in constant fear of asking things. But having an environment that encourages that as well is even better, especially if you're having difficulties to get into it. But it's so nice that you had that opportunity with the studio. That's amazing.
Yeah. And
Um,
uh,
oh, sorry.
yeah. Oh no, sorry, like
Did you have a
Um,
tangent? Did you have a tangent you wanted to go
no,
off?
no, I promise I did it.
No,
No more
no, I
tangents for
want
me,
the
I promise.
tangent. The tangent is good.
No.
give it to us.
Oh no,
Maybe
I
maybe
forgot
I
what.
have a tangent. You have one?
Yeah. No, I forgot.
Yes.
I said I forgot my
No.
tangent. Please. My
No.
train of thought is like always derailing, like at this point, like in at home. I'm like, oh man, like oh no, I always forget one.
Don't worry.
I've
I'm
ruined it.
sorry.
No, it's
No, you didn't.
fine. The other thing I was gonna say is that that's something that I also need to get better with too. Is like maybe like being able to ask questions to someone. For me, especially when it comes to art, there has to be a lot of trust there, you know, which is it's why like maybe I'll only ask for a critique from like a certain amount of like a small group of people or like my mentor or whatever, because it's like I trust them and they know me as a person or whatever. And uh it could even in those situations it could still be kind of scary because sometimes it feels like a stupid question, or it feels like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is probably just such a basic thing that I don't know about. But like with game art, with art in general, like there's not really like there's documentation about stuff, but when you start to learn things, like there's not really like a centralized like area of like information for things. Like you're looking at like
Yeah.
some sort of like Maya tutorial from like 2016 that someone recorded to find out this one Maya functionality, and then you're
In
going to
480p
like
also.
Yeah.
in 480p, and then you're
Classic.
looking at someone's like substance designer tutorial where it's like a substance designer material that isn't even similar to the one that you're making, but they do this one thing at 8:35 that you need to know how to do. So then you're looking at that,
Yeah.
like it's so daunting trying to learn stuff. And sometimes I think maybe when we like maybe when I try to ask things from people who are like more ahead on, you know, the artistic journey than me, it's like, oh man, you must do this every day. This must feel so simple to you, like breathing air, drinking water. Like you wouldn't want to help me, but then like every time I ask, it's like they always want to help me, and it always feels like a trick.
Yeah.
It always feels like one of these days they're gonna figure it out and be like, ah, no, no more help for you. But like that hasn't happened, and it's just like an irrational like imposter syndrome filled fear
Yeah.
of mine also. But like I don't know, so far people have been nicer than I, you know, like I thought that they would be. And so
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get better at asking more questions, because you know I have to learn too. Like you guys can't hog all the learning. I have to learn.
No, it's such a good point. And it is something you can literally learn. It's like you just get used to it, and then that barrier at some point, even if it takes a long time, just slowly disappears. It's slow, but it disappears. It's the same with me, to be honest. Um, just a small like question at the end, just regarding your work. Is there any advice you could give to other people maybe that are looking to work at an outsourcing studio? Because
Mm.
but what's great about outsourcing studios, I think, that you can focus a lot on the art aspect. It's really nice because you work with other artists together and nourish each other along the way. I think that's really nice. Is there something that you can tell others that would also like to have this sort of position, what they could do to get closer to that?
Yeah, I think the best thing is like tailor your art to the stuff that you want to do. Like
Hmm.
if you want to go into be an environment artist, but like you're making like character art, like like that wouldn't really mesh right. But like uh, at least like for like applying for something like it's always good to like tailor your work to like the position you want,
Hmm.
or like even if it's a general position, like you could always like have a little bit of everything where it's like, okay, like here are my materials, my lighting, my modeling, and it doesn't have to be great. It could just be like something that shows that you know what you're doing, like
Hmm.
and also, one more thing, this is off a little bit weird, but like learn your textile densities, because I didn't know what the hell that was when I was applying for a few other jobs. And I was like, oh man, like what the hell is a textile density? I was like, oh no, it's like learn the little things like just a bit, like the basics are boring, but like it it helps. Like there's a lot of documentation, and like not just our station, but like a level, like
Hmm.
a poly count, like
Yeah.
with all these types of resources, and like sometimes like it's good to like you don't have to be a pro at the thing you're learning. You just have to know how to do it. you know,
Yeah.
it's like a weird mastery. Like it's better to, I don't know, like tailor your art, to the job you want, and you know, and if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah,
Totally.
because then you get the jobs and the type of offers that you want. Like you're not gonna want to pretend that you like something else and then work in a job you don't like.
Mm,
It's just daunting and horrible. Like it's the best strategy, I think, just to do stuff you truly enjoy, and then if you're good at it, then you're gonna end up doing that as a job as well, and you're not going to feel like you have to change yourself and your interests to just fit into a position. Like there are positions that can fit to your interests as well.
Exactly. And I know like the hiring process, like it seems like, like you do like one, or not even one, maybe like 5 to 10 different applications. You submit it, and like you don't hear back from some, but you hear back from others. Like it may feel like depressing, but like it's still like a step in the right direction when it comes to applying, because at least from there you start to learn like, okay, these are the things I need to get better at, maybe. And even if you're lucky, like if the people do respond back, they kind of give you like feedback on like, okay, this is what didn't work with this. I think I had that happen in 343, where like they was nice enough to give feedback on my
Oh, nice.
portfolio, and like even though like I didn't get the job, like and the people there were like nice enough to be like, okay, we'll message you back and tell you what you need to work on and
hmm
stuff like that. And that really helped out a lot, you know. And if there's any companies listening, please respond back to your emails, because there are still people out there listening and like waiting for the emails back or something. Even if it's not, hey, you're not accepted, that's even better.
Yeah,
Like that's I'd rather have an email confirming that I didn't get accepted than an email that than no email at all, you know.
for sure. That like it's such a nice feeling to at least have that chapter closed. Like no matter if the outcome's positive or negative, like just having closure
Yeah,
is great, and would be nice to have if people could take the time to do that, especially giving feedback. I think that's amazing that they actually gave you feedback on your application as well. That's really
yeah.
valuable for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we're reaching the end of our little podcast journey for today. Um, just to like wrap up maybe what we talked about. It was a lot, but we're gonna try as always to summarize. So if you guys see I forgot something, please don't hesitate to correct me, not contact me. It's a bit too formal. But yeah, we talked about how it's important to be patient. I think that's a really good
yeah.
aspect we covered. Um, that you should give yourself time to be experimenting with your work. Maybe not even if the outcome is bad, or maybe if you fail at some point
Mm-hmm.
in the process, it's okay. You
hmm
still did something, and keep doing um, what you do. And eventually, if you create art that you are passionate about and that you enjoy doing, you will find a position that will nourish you and, support that interest that you have. And as Sadie said, I think it's super cool that you got this type of job, and as your first like step in the industry. That's such a nice place to have, that you can continue doing what you love and even get out of your comfort zone at the same time. That's a great balance, I think.
For sure. And then I think, as always, like we are continuing to see the positive impacts of having a supportive community around
Yeah.
you, and whether that's like you're not working in the job that you want to yet, but you have coworkers who are very supportive of you and will like cheer you on from the sidelines and stuff. Like that's really valuable. And kind of finding Discord communities and stuff to like make friends in and kind of like interact with other people and other professionals and get their perspective, get their eyes on your work so that you can improve. And like that stuff is also really important. So um, every episode, I hope I get the chance to stress the importance of community.
So, and for anyone listening, you can find Sady's Twitter and ArtStation in the box or the links wherever we have this podcast episode uploaded. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on. And I
Thank you
hope
so
that
much.
you had a great time talking to us, because we certainly did.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with us, you know.
Yeah.
Like well, more like putting up with me, so that can be a talk.
Fine.
I'll say it. It's fine. No, it's fine.
No, please.
But for sure, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with everyone a little bit about your journey and your art and kind of the things that go through your mind when you work on it, because I'm sure that you are so, like we said before, sometimes when you are an artist and you're a little bit present on social media, you can kind of become like this image, this personality, and we really want to like help humanize the artists that are making the work. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who look up to the kind of stuff that you are doing and probably want to make stuff that's like going in that same direction. So hopefully those people will find something out of this as well. And maybe even one day you guys can all meet up and talk about the same cool stuff. Talk about all your cool projects. And
once this quarantine is over, yeah.
Once the quarantine is over.
One day.
Exactly. And if anyone listening would like to suggest someone to join us on the podcast, someone who is a great positive force within their community, along with being great at what they do, please send us an email at allinclusivepodcast@gmail.com. That's all inclusive with no spaces, pdcst@gmail.com. They can be a 2D artist, 3D artist, community manager, someone who works in QA. It really doesn't matter who they are. They just gotta work in game dev and be cool and nice. I would prefer them to be nice.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us for the 8th episode of All Inclusives. We hope that you have just as much fun listening to us as we do talking. And you can find us on a couple of different social media channels. And you can find the links to all of those in the description box of whichever platform you're listening to us right now. And that will include Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify. Thanks again, and we hope you join us for another episode of All Inclusive.